The stars were quiet that night. They had been quiet for a very long time. Humanity had looked up at them for thousands of years, wondering if anyone else was out there. They got their answer on a Tuesday morning. Yuna was drinking her second cup of coffee when the alarm started. She was the ambassador for United Earth, a job that usually meant talking to politicians and signing papers. Today would be different. Today would change everything. The space station horizon floated above Earth like a silver ring. It was home to 3,000 people. Scientists, workers, families. They all stopped what they were doing when the shadow fell across them. The alien ship was massive. It blocked out the sun. It blocked out the stars. It was bigger than any city on Earth, bigger than some countries. It just appeared out of nowhere, like a mountain falling from the sky. Yuna ran to the observation deck. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands were shaking, but her face stayed calm. She had trained for this moment. Everyone had trained for this moment. They just never thought it would actually happen. Admiral Dohwan was already there. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth before taking command of the space fleet. Nothing surprised him anymore. Not even this. He was looking at his tablet, reading the data coming in from their sensors. How big is it? Yuna asked. 12 kilometers long, Dohwan said. His voice was flat, like he was reading a weather report. They call themselves the Velith. They have been watching us for 50 years. 50 years? Why did they wait so long? They were deciding if we were worth conquering. The words hung in the air. Yuna felt cold. She looked out the window at the massive ship. Lights blinked along its surface. Strange symbols glowed in the darkness. What do they want? She asked. The usual. Surrender. Resources. Slaves. Dohwan put down his tablet. They sent a message. Would you like to hear it? Yuna nodded. A voice filled the room. It was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. The translator turned it into English, but the alien words still echoed underneath. People of Earth, I am Commander Orthel of the Velith Empire. We have conquered 117 worlds. We have destroyed 11 more. Your planet is small. Your technology is weak. Your military is nothing. You have one choice. Surrender now, and your people will live as servants. Refuse, and we will turn your world to ash. You have 6 hours to decide. The message ended. Silence filled the room. Yuna felt sick. She thought about her family, back on Earth, her mother in Seoul, her brother in Bizen, her little niece who was just learning to walk. Would they all die because of what happened in the next 6 hours? What do we do? She asked. Dohwan was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was a strange smile. Not happy, not sad, just knowing. We do nothing. He said, nothing? They just threaten to destroy us. Yes, and they expect us to panic, to beg, to cry. He turned to look at her. His eyes were sharp now, all the tiredness gone. But we are not going to do any of those things. We are going to finish our coffee and wait. Yuna stared at him. Are you crazy? Maybe, but I have seen their ship. I have read their message. And I know something they do not know. What? Dohwan walked to the window. He put his hands behind his back and looked up at the massive alien vessel. They think they are the hunters, he said quietly. They think we are the prey. They have done this 117 times before. It always works. The small species panic. They surrender. They become slaves. He paused. But they have never met humans before. Down on Earth, the news was spreading fast. People were scared. Some were crying. Some were praying. Some were running to bunkers and hiding places. But others were not scared at all. In a small office in Seoul, Dr. Sumi looked at her computer screen. She was a scientist at the Korean Aerospace Defense Institute. She had worked there for 20 years. Most of that time, she had been waiting for this exact moment. Her phone rang. She answered it. Dr. Sumi? This is Director Park. Have you seen the alien ship? Yes. Are you worried? She thought about it for a moment. Then she laughed. It was a real laugh, full of joy. No, she said. I am not worried at all. Why not? Because I know what we have been building. I know what we have been hiding. And I know that ship up there, as big and scary as it looks, is about to learn a very important lesson. What lesson? Dr. Sumi leaned back in her chair and smiled. That humans are very, very good at keeping secrets. 6 hours. That was how long they had. 6 hours to decide the fate of humanity. But Yuna was starting to realize something. Admiral Dowan was not scared. Dr. Sumi was not scared. There was something going on. Something big. Something hidden. She just had to trust that whatever it would be enough. The clock was ticking. The alien ship waited. And somewhere in the darkness of space, humanity was about to show the galaxy what it really was. The stars were quiet that night. They had been quiet for a very long time. Humanity had looked up at them for thousands of years, wondering if anyone else was out there. They got their answer on a Tuesday morning. Yuna was drinking her second cup of coffee when the alarm started. She was the ambassador for United Earth, a job that usually meant talking to politicians and signing papers. Today would be different. Today would change everything. The space station horizon floated above Earth like a silver ring. It was home to 3,000 people. Scientists, workers, families. They all stopped what they were doing when the shadow fell across them. The alien ship was massive. It blocked out the sun. It blocked out the stars. It was bigger than any city on Earth, bigger than some countries. It just appeared out of nowhere, like a mountain falling from the sky. Yuna ran to the observation deck. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands were shaking, but her face stayed calm. She had trained for this moment. Everyone had trained for this moment. They just never thought it would actually happen. Admiral Dowan was already there. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth before taking command of the space fleet. Nothing surprised him anymore. Not even this. He was looking at his tablet, reading the data coming in from their sensors. How big is it? Yuna asked. 12 kilometers long, Dowan said. His voice was flat, like he was reading a weather report. They call themselves the Velith. They have been watching us for 50 years. 50 years? Why did they wait so long? They were deciding if we were worth conquering. The words hung in the air. Yuna felt cold. She looked out the window at the massive ship. Lights blinked along its surface. Strange symbols glowed in the darkness. What do they want? She asked. The usual. Surrender. Resources. Slaves. Dowan put down his tablet. They sent a message. Would you like to hear it? Yuna nodded. A voice filled the room. It was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. The translator turned it into English, but the alien words still echoed underneath. People of Earth, I am Commander Orthel of the Velith Empire. We have conquered 117 worlds. We have destroyed 11 more. Your planet is small. Your technology is weak. Your military is nothing. You have one choice. Surrender now, and your people will live as servants. Refuse, and we will turn your world to ash. You have 6 hours to decide. The message ended. Silence filled the room. Yuna felt sick. She thought about her family, back on Earth, her mother in Seoul, her brother in Bizen, her little niece who was just learning to walk. Would they all die because of what happened in the next 6 hours? What do we do? she asked. Do-hwan was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was a strange smile. Not happy, not sad, just knowing. We do nothing. He said, nothing? They just threaten to destroy us. Yes, and they expect us to panic, to beg, to cry. He turned to look at her. His eyes were sharp now, all the tiredness gone. But we are not going to do any of those things. We are going to finish our coffee and wait. Yuna stared at him. Are you crazy? Maybe, but I have seen their ship. I have read their message. And I know something they do not know. What? Do-hwan walked to the window. He put his hands behind his back and looked up at the massive alien vessel. They think they are the hunters, he said quietly. They think we are the prey. They have done this 117 times before. It always works. The small species panic. They surrender. They become slaves. He paused. But they have never met humans before. Down on Earth, the news was spreading fast. People were scared. Some were crying. Some were praying. Some were running to bunkers and hiding places. But others were not scared at all. In a small office in Seoul, Dr. Sumi looked at her computer screen. She was a scientist at the Korean Aerospace Defense Institute. She had worked there for 20 years. Most of that time, she had been waiting for this exact moment. Her phone rang. She answered it. Dr. Sumi? This is Director Park. Have you seen the alien ship? Yes. Are you worried? She thought about it for a moment. Then she laughed. It was a real laugh, full of joy. No, she said. I am not worried at all. Why not? Because I know what we have been building. I know what we have been hiding. And I know that ship up there, as big and scary as it looks, is about to learn a very important lesson. What lesson? Dr. Sumi leaned back in her chair and smiled. That humans are very, very good at keeping secrets. 6 hours. That was how long they had. 6 hours to decide the fate of humanity. But Yuna was starting to. Commander Orthel sat on his throne and waited. He was a patient creature. He had lived for 300 years. He had destroyed worlds. He had crushed armies. He had watched entire species beg for mercy at his feet. The humans would be no different. His ship, the Eternal Shadow, was the pride of the Velith Empire. It carried weapons that could crack planets in half. It carried soldiers that could tear through metal with their bare claws. It carried the Harofang. The Harofang was special. It was a weapon so terrible that most species surrendered just by hearing its name. A ball of compressed neutronium, 3 kilometers wide, fired at near light speed. When it hit a planet, there was no explosion. There was no fire. The planet simply stopped existing. It became dust and memory. Orthel had used the Harofang 11 times. 11 worlds, gone forever. The memory still made him smile. His first officer approached the throne. Commander, the humans have not responded. How long has it been? 5 hours and 40 minutes. Orthel clicked his mandibles in annoyance. Most species responded within the first hour. They cried and begged and promised anything. The humans were being stubborn. Open a channel, he ordered. Show me their leader. The screen flickered. A human female appeared. She had black hair and calm eyes. She did not look scared. This annoyed Orthel even more. I am Commander Orthel of the Velith Empire. You have 20 minutes to surrender. The human tilted her head. I am Ambassador Yuna. We have decided not to surrender. Orthel leaned forward. In 300 years, no species had ever said those words to him. You do not understand, he said slowly. We will destroy you. Every city, every person, every memory of your kind. You will be erased from the universe. I understand perfectly, Yuna said. And we still refuse. then you have chosen death. Maybe. Or maybe you do not understand something about us. Orthel laughed. It was a terrible sound, like breaking bones. What could a primitive species like you possibly know that we do not? Yuna smiled. It was a small smile, but it made Orthel uncomfortable. I guess you will find out, she said. Then the screen went black. Orthel stared at the empty screen. His crew was silent. No one knew what to say. Prepare the Harofang, Orthel ordered. Target their moon. We will give them a demonstration. Then they will beg. The crew moved quickly. The great weapon hummed to life. Deep in the ship, machines older than human civilization began to spin and glow down on Earth. Dr. Sumi watched the alien ship on her monitor. She could see the energy building up inside it. She knew what was coming. Her assistant, a young man named Jinho, stood beside her. His face was pale. They are really going to fire it, he said. Yes. At the moon? Yes. Should we evacuate the lunar bases? Dr. Sumi shook her head. No need. Just watch. On the space station horizon, Admiral Dowan was also watching. Yuna stood beside him, her hands gripping the railing. They are going to destroy the moon, she said. Her voice was tight. 4 million people live there. They will be fine, Dowan said. How can you be so calm? Because I know what happens next. The alien ship fired Dodd. It was beautiful in a terrible way. A streak of light shot out from the eternal shadow, moving so fast it was almost invisible. The Harofang, the world killer, the weapon that had ended 11 civilizations, screamed toward the moon. Orthel watched from his throne. His crew cheered. In 30 seconds, the human moon would be destroyed. Then they would see. Then they would understand the power of the VLITH. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. The Harofang stopped. Orthel blinked. His crew went silent. Every screen on the ship showed the same impossible image. The world killer, moving at near light speed, had simply stopped. It hung in space, 40,000 kilometers from the moon, completely motionless. What happened? Orthel demanded. Why did it stop? His science officer checked her instruments. Her claws were shaking. Commander, it did not malfunction. Something stopped it. That is impossible. Nothing can stop the Harofang at that speed. The humans did. Orthel felt something he had not felt in 200 years. Fear on Earth. Dr. Sumi leaned back in her chair and laughed. Jinho stared at the screen with his mouth open. How? He whispered. How did we do that? Gravitational manipulation field, Dr. Sumi said. We built it into the lunar defense grid 50 years ago. It can stop anything up to 1% of light speed. Why did no one know about this? Because we did not want anyone to know. Not the aliens. Not even most humans. She stood up and stretched. The universe is full of dangers, Jinho. We learned a long time ago that the best defense is not a big weapon. It is letting everyone think you do not have any weapons at all. Up on the eternal shadow, Orthel was screaming orders. His crew was running in every direction. Nothing like this had ever happened before. The Harofang had never failed. It could not fail, but there it was, hanging in space like a frozen star, held by invisible hands. A new message came through. Admiral Dowan's face appeared on the screen. He was smiling. Commander Orthel, he said. I think we need to talk. Commander Orthel stared at the human on his screen. The man was old with gray hair and a calm smile. He looked like someone's grandfather. He did not look like someone who had just stopped the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. How did you do that? Orthel demanded. His voice was shaking. He hated that it was shaking. Admiral Dowan tilted his head. Do what? The Harofang. You stopped it. That is impossible. Clearly, it is not impossible because we did it. Dohan's smile grew wider. But I understand your confusion. Let me explain something to you, Commander. Orthel said nothing. His crew was watching. They had never seen him like this. They had never seen anyone make him afraid. You see, Dohan continued, your weapon is very impressive. World killer class. Near light velocity. Very scary. But here is the thing. You fired it at a doorway. A doorway? What do you mean? The moon is not just a moon to us. It is a transit hub. A waypoint. 18 billion humans pass through lunar space every single day. Workers going to Mars. Families visiting the outer colonies. Cargo ships carrying food and medicine. Your little rock was about to cause a traffic jam. Orthel's translator struggled with the words. Traffic jam? Yes, you know, when too many vehicles try to use the same road at the same time, and everyone has to stop and wait. Very annoying. We have meetings to attend. Children to pick up from school. Your world killer was in the way. The bridge of the eternal shadow was completely silent. Every Velith officer stared at the screen with wide eyes. You stopped a planet-destroying weapon, Orthel said slowly. Because it was blocking traffic? Exactly. I'm glad you understand. Orthel felt his mind breaking. In 300 years of conquest, nothing had prepared him for this. The humans were not scared. They were not impressed. They were annoyed. Like he was a child making noise during a busy day. This is a trick, he said. You are lying. You cannot be this powerful. I am afraid we are. Dawan leaned back in his chair. Would you like to know how powerful? Orthel did not answer. He could not answer. 300 years ago, Dohan said, humans discovered faster than light travel. We colonized our first planet outside this solar system 250 years ago. Today, we have 412 worlds. We have built structures around dead stars. We have created pocket dimensions for storage. We have weapons that make your Harofang look like a child's toy. Impossible. Our scouts have watched you for 50 years. You are barely capable of space travel. Yes, that is what we wanted you to think. Orthel felt cold. Very cold. Why? He whispered. Why would you hide all of this? Because we remembered our own history. Dohan's smile faded. His face became serious. A long time ago, on our planet, there were many different groups of humans. Different countries. Different cultures. When a strong group met a weak group, what do you think happened? Orthel knew. Every species in the galaxy knew. The strong conquered the weak. It was the natural order. The weak were destroyed, he said. Or enslaved. Or erased from history. It happened again and again. Stronger technology always won. So when we finally reached the stars, we asked ourselves a question. What happens when we meet someone stronger than us? You hide, Orthel said. Understanding was dawning in his mind. You pretend to be weak. Exactly. We watched. We listened. We saw your empire conquering world after world. We saw the cruelty, the destruction, the slavery. And we knew that if you ever found out what we really were, you would try to destroy us out of fear. So you did nothing? For 50 years? We did many things. We built. We prepared. We hoped that someday the galaxy would grow up. That species like yours would learn that conquest and destruction are not the only ways to live. Dawan sighed. But you came here with your world killer weapon. You threatened our children, our families, our home. So now we have to show you the truth. On Earth, Dr. Sumi was already transmitting data to every ship in the Velith fleet. Not just the Eternal Shadow. All of them. Every vessel in the Empire was receiving the same information, images of human cities on distant worlds, recordings of human ships crossing the galaxy in seconds, technical data about weapons that could crack moons and move stars. Jinho watched over her shoulder. What will happen now? The Velith have conquered 117 worlds, Dr. Sumi said. All those species are slaves. They think the Velith are invincible. They have no hope. She pressed another button. Now they will learn the truth. The Velith are not the strongest. They never were. Across the galaxy, slave species received a transmission. On 100 worlds, beings who had given up hope looked at their screens and saw the impossible. A species that was stronger than their masters. A species that had been hiding all along. Hope is a dangerous thing. Once it starts, it cannot be stopped. Back on the Eternal Shadow, Orthel was watching his empire fall apart in real time. Reports were coming in from everywhere. Rebellions, uprisings, ships refusing to follow orders. What have you done? He asked Dowan. We gave them hope, Dowan said simply. Something you took away from them long ago. Orthel looked at the frozen Harofang, still hanging in space. His greatest weapon. His source of power. Now it was just a rock. A joke. A reminder that he had never been as strong as he thought. What happens now? He asked. Dowan smiled again. Now we talk. Really talk. About peace. About freedom. About what kind of galaxy we want to live in. And if I refuse, then you will learn another lesson about humans. Dowan's eyes were hard. We prefer peace, but we are very, very good at war. The Galactic Council met 3 days later. It was the first time in 100 years that all species had gathered in one place. The chamber was huge, filled with beings of every shape and size. Some had wings. Some had tentacles. Some floated in water tanks. Some were made of living crystal. They all had one thing in common. They all wanted answers. Ambassador Yuna stood at the center of the chamber. She was alone. One human, facing 1,000 alien representatives. But she did not feel afraid. She felt ready. Thank you all for coming, she said. Her voice was carried to every corner of the room by invisible speakers. I know you have questions. I will try to answer them. A tall being with 4 arms stepped forward. He was from the Karathi, a species that had been conquered by the Velith 200 years ago. How long have you been lying to us? He asked. His voice was full of anger and pain. Yuna did not look away. We have been hiding our true strength for 300 years. Since we first discovered faster than light travel. The chamber erupted in noise. 1,000 voices speaking 1,000 languages. Accusations, questions, demands. Yuna waited until they grew quiet again. You could have helped us, a small creature said. She was from a species called the Namari. The Velith had destroyed their homeworld 50 years ago. Only a few thousand of them survived. You could have saved us. Why did you do nothing? This was the question Yuna had been dreading. She had asked it herself many times. The answer was not easy to hear. Because we were afraid, she said. The chamber went silent. 300 years ago, we looked at the galaxy and saw what we expected to see. War, conquest, empires rising and falling. Strong species crushing weak ones. It was exactly like our own history. We knew that if we revealed ourselves, we would become a target. Every empire would want to destroy us before we could threaten them. So you let us suffer, the Karathi said. You watched us die. Yes, and I am sorry. Truly sorry. We told ourselves it was for our own survival. We told ourselves we had no choice. May choice. But the truth is, we were afraid of what would happen if we tried to help. Yuna's voice was steady, but her eyes were wet. We were wrong. We should have been braver. We should have done more. On the Eternal Shadow, Commander Orthel watched the broadcast from his cell. He was no longer in command. His own crew had locked him away after the rebellion started. Now he was just a prisoner, watching his empire crumble. He did not understand these humans. They had the power to destroy the Veloth completely. They could wipe out every ship, every planet, every soldier. But instead, they were apologizing. They were admitting mistakes. They were asking for forgiveness. It made no sense. In the council chamber, a being made of living light spoke. It was one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Ambassador Yuna, you say you have 400 worlds. You say you have weapons beyond our understanding. Why should we trust you? How do we know you will not become the next Veloth? Yuna nodded. That is a fair question. The answer is simple. We do not want to rule you. We never did. Then what do you want? We want to live. We want to raise our families. We want to explore the universe and discover its wonders. We want to make friends, not enemies. We want to build things, not destroy them. She paused. We want what every species wants. A good life. A peaceful life. A meaningful life. Pretty words, the light being said. But words are easy. Actions are hard. You are right. Yuna looked around the chamber at the 1,000 different faces watching her. So let me tell you what we are going to do. Not what we promise. What we are actually going to do. She pressed a button on her wrist. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of points of light. These are our colonies. 412 worlds. Starting today, we are opening them to refugees. Any species that has lost their home, any people who need a safe place to live, can come to us. We will give you shelter. We will give you food. We will give you medicine. We will not ask for anything in return. The chamber was silent. This was not what anyone expected. Second, Yuna continued, we are releasing all of our technology, everything, faster than light travel, energy generation, medical science, agricultural methods, all of it, free, for everyone, no cost, no conditions. A wave of shock rippled through the room. Technology was power. No one gave away power. Third, we are offering to help rebuild every world the Veloth destroyed. Not rule them, not control them, rebuild them. We have the technology to restore dead planets, to bring back oceans and forests, to make them livable again. She looked at the Namari representative, including yours. The small creature's eyes filled with tears. You can really do that? Bring back our world? Yes, it will take time. Maybe decades. But we can do it. Back on his ship, Orthel watched the Namari cry with joy. He watched other species embrace each other. He watched hope spread through the chamber like a wave. And finally, he understood. The humans were not powerful because of their weapons. They were not powerful because of their technology. They were powerful because they understood something that the Veloth had forgotten long ago, that true strength was not in destruction. It was in creation, in healing, in giving, in hope. Orthel closed his eyes. For the first time in 300 years, he felt something strange, something painful, something he had thought was dead inside. Him. Shame that he had spent his entire life taking from others, conquering, destroying. He had told himself it was the natural order. The strong rule. The weak serve. But the humans had shown him another way. A better way. He wondered if it was too late for him to learn. 1 year passed. The galaxy was different now. Not perfect. Not healed. But different. Better. The Veloth Empire was gone. Some of the commanders fled to the outer edges of the galaxy, trying to hold on to their power. Most of them failed. The species they had conquered were no longer afraid. They had human technology now. Human ships. Human weapons. They could defend themselves. Commander Orthel was not with the ones who fled. He had chosen a different path. He stood in a field on a planet called New Numa. It was the new home of the Nimari people. Their original world was still being restored, but this planet had been given to them by the humans until it was ready. Orthel was helping to build a house. His claws, which had once torn through metal and flesh, were now carrying wooden boards and driving nails. It was strange work. Difficult work. But he found that he did not mind. A small Nimari child watched him from nearby. She was curious, but not afraid. The young ones did not remember the old times. They did not know what he had been. "Why are you helping us?" she asked. "You destroyed our world." Orthel stopped working. He had asked himself this question many times. "Because I cannot undo what I did," he said. "But I can try to build something new. Something better. It does not erase my crimes. Nothing can. But it is all I have to offer." The child thought about this for a moment. Then she handed him a glass of water. "You look thirsty," she said. "Building houses is hard work." Orthel took the water. His claws trembled slightly. "Thank you," he said. It was a word he had never spoken before. It felt strange in his mouth. But it also felt right far away on the space station horizon. Admiral Dohan was preparing to retire. He was old. Very old. He had done his part. Now, it was time for the younger generation to take over. Ambassador Yuna found him in his office, packing his few belongings into a small bag. "You are really leaving?" she asked. "I am. There is a small house on Mars Colony 7. Nice view of the mountains. I am going to grow vegetables and read books and watch the sunset every evening." "That sounds boring." "It sounds perfect." Dawan smiled. "I have spent my whole life preparing for war. Now I want to see what peace feels like." Yuna sat down across from him. "Do you think it will last?" "The peace, I mean." "I do not know. The galaxy is a big place. There are other empires out there. Other threats. Sooner or later, something will come. Something will try to break what we have built." He closed his bag and looked at her. "But that is not my problem anymore. It is yours. Thank you for the confidence. You'll do fine. You are smarter than me. Braver, too." He stood up and walked to the window. Earth hung in the distance, blue and green and beautiful. "When I was young, I thought strength meant being able to destroy your enemies. The more you could destroy, the stronger you were. The Vela thought the same thing. Most species do. And now? Now I know that destruction is easy. Anyone can destroy. It takes no skill, no wisdom, no courage. Just weapons and anger." He turned to face her. "But building things, healing things, creating things, that is hard. That takes real strength. That is what makes humans different. We learned this lesson a long time ago. We almost destroyed ourselves learning it. But we survived. And now we are teaching it to the galaxy." On Earth, Dr. Sumi was giving a lecture to a class of young scientists. They came from 100 different worlds. Humans, Namari, Karathi, even a few young Velith who wanted to learn a new way of living. "The most powerful weapon in the universe," she told them, "is not a bomb or a laser or a planet killer. It is an idea. Ideas can spread. Ideas can grow. Ideas can change everything." A young Velith raised his claw. "What idea changed the humans?" Dr. Sumi smiled. "Many ideas. But the most important one was simple. We are all connected. What hurts one of us hurts all of us. What helps one of us helps all of us. When we truly understood this, we stopped trying to conquer each other. We started trying to help each other instead. But the other species in the galaxy did not understand this idea. Why did you not teach them sooner? Because we were afraid. We thought we had to protect ourselves first. We thought we were alone. She looked out the window at the stars. We were wrong. We were never alone. We just did not know it yet. 5 years later, the first human-alien joint colony was established. 10 years later, the Galactic Council voted to make humanity permanent members. 20 years later, the restored planet Numa welcomed its people home. And on a small house on Mars Colony 7, Admiral Doan sat on his porch and watched the sunset. His vegetables were growing well. His books were stacked by his chair. His life was quiet and simple and good. He thought about the day the Velith arrived. The fear, the uncertainty, the moment when everything changed. He thought about what humanity had become. Not conquerors, not rulers, just neighbors, helpers, friends. He smiled and took a sip of his tea. Somewhere out there, another species was looking up at the stars for the first time, wondering if they were alone, wondering if anyone else was out there. They would find out soon enough. And when they did, they would learn the same lesson that Commander Orthel had learned. The same lesson that the galaxy was still learning. True strength is not in how much you can destroy. True strength is in how much you can build. And humans? Humans were very, very good at building things, including doors. After all, they had places to be. The end.